Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your boy, Darrell Owens, and this is another episode of 101 here on the Legacy Maker Sports Network, and of course, airing on the amazing Bowie Television. Today, we bring you episode 181 of 101 as we start on week 3 of the NFL Power Rankings. We're very excited because a lot has happened in these first couple of weeks of the season. There's some people that have surprised us, and there's some people that have shocked us in different ways, up and down. You name it, it's just been that way. Then on top of that, we got a good game tonight. We got the Bills taking on the Dolphins. It's a huge game because the Bills are looking to continue their dominance or continue their winning ways, and the Dolphins are in trouble. They've got to figure out something like quick, because if they don't, it could spell disaster for this team, and they don't want that. They don't want that. It's been a really rough go so far for the Miami Dolphins. They put up more of a fight this last week, but it still don't look good. There's something wrong there that they got to figure out. But with all that said, episode 181 of 101 starts now. One. Welcome to the 101. When it comes to ratings, man, we number one. I get the truth, then I give them the scoop. If anybody got a question, I give them the proof. Welcome to the 101. When it comes to ratings, man, we number one. I get the truth, then I give them the scoop. If anybody got a question, I give them the proof. Welcome to 101 at Legacy Maker Sports Network. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you have entered episode 181 of 101 here on the Legacy Maker Sports Network, and of course, airing on the amazing Bowie TV. We are here. We're here. Episode 181, and we are in week 3 of our Power Rankings, our 5th year of doing Power Rankings. I'm very, very excited about this year. It's been a fun and exciting one so far, but there's still so much to get into. There's so much to figure out as the season goes along. The Power Rankings are so young right now, so we really can't like give you everything that we really truly want to give you, because I start these Power Rankings off by honoring the wins and the losses right off the bat, and then kind of like ranking them from there. For those who watch the show, you said, Darrell, we know. I know, but for new viewers, they need to understand. Now, with all that being said, we got a lot to get into today. We got to break down week 2, and kind of let you guys all know where everything stands. And I'm excited. I'm excited to break the bottom down. I'm excited to break the outside looking in, the finale, and of course the top 10. Of course, there's just so much. And tonight we've got a big game, with Dolphins and Bills. Dolphins got to win tonight. I hate to say as much for win this early in the season. They got to win tonight, and there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. They don't win tonight, it's going to be a bad deal. I saw the press conference that Mike McDonald had, and it was rough. He was just babbling. I'm like, they let this fly, but supposedly, according to some of my Dolphins friends that have been Dolphins fans or followed the Dolphins for years, said he's been doing this the whole time, but they've been winning for most of the time, so you don't really pay attention to it. You just let it fly. But now that they're not playing well and things haven't been too peachy, that's where it's looked. So we'll see. But with all that said, let's go ahead and get into it. Let's start off, ladies and gentlemen, with the bottom. This week's bottom, at number 32, the New Orleans Saints. Now, before you think, Darrell, you just don't like the New Orleans Saints. I don't like the quarterback situation there. It's a little rough. But I do want to give them a shout out, because even though I got them at 32, they have fought hard these first 2 weeks. They had the Cardinals, a 2-0 team now, and they end up losing 20-13. Now, they battled. They did all they could. It just didn't happen. This past week, they played the 49ers. They lose, of course. And it was 26-21. They were in the mix. It just didn't happen. And if you're the Saints fans, they've been playing hard. They've been competitive. So you don't want to completely, disregard their hard work in their play so far. there's a lot that needs to be done there. They've got pieces. It's just interesting to see how they kind of will go. They got Seattle this week in Seattle. So if they can, beat Seattle, maybe get things going, you never know. But right now they're at 32. At 31, the Cleveland Browns. Cleveland, first week, tough battle with the Bengals in the mix, doing their thing, or at least doing the best they can. They lose 17-16. Had a chance to win, boom. Week 2, whole different dream. Baltimore Ravens came in there and said, why do you want to test us after we lost this tough matchup to the Bills? 41-17. Beat down. Ugliness. Not pretty. That's what we saw from Cleveland. I almost felt bad for Cleveland because they walked into a buzzsaw. They walked into a team that's angry. They walked into a team that I feel like is probably the most complete team in football from top to bottom. Organizational wise, you name it. They're just one of the teams that people look at to as a standard, as an organization, owner to GM to PR, you name it. That's just what they do. And they came in hot, mad, upset, and they beat up on the Browns. And then the Browns had the nerve at the beginning of the week last week to talk about, we're talking Derrick Henry. And then now, granted, Derrick Henry didn't have the best game, but everybody else was like, we got you, D. Don't worry about it. Beat down. Cleveland's at 31. At 30, the Carolina Panthers. Carolina Panthers first week, 26-10 loss to the Jaguars. Didn't look good at all. Didn't look good at all in this past week against the Carolina Panthers until the fourth quarter. They scored 13 points in the quarter. They had the ball driving with like under a minute left in the game. They had a chance to win this game. Where in a game where they probably shouldn't have had a chance to win this game, and they had a chance and just couldn't pull it off in the end. Shout out to Hunter Renfrow. Man, Hunter Renfrow, 2 touchdowns coming in and helping out, doing his thing for Bryce Young to give him that security at the veteran, for a veteran player to come in and blanket to an extent. Losing Thielen to me hurts more than, if you're a Carolina fan, then most people will let on. He was big for them last year, and Bryce Young depended on him. And with all these young receivers, I see him kind of gravitating towards Renfrow the same way. Renfrow was out football last year. Now he's back. I still think the Packers should have traded for him when they traded Devontae Adams. That would have been the move. You trade him for a Pro Bowl receiver for a Pro Bowl receiver for a Pro Bowl receiver and take those picks. I don't get why they didn't make that move. Yeah, what it is. Panthers at 30. At 29, the Tennessee Titans. Titans have fought hard these first couple of weeks. It hasn't been the prettiest, but they've been in the mix. I don't want to take that away from them. They've been fighting hard in these matchups. So I think that Cam Ward has potential to be a really good player in this league. And I've seen some flashes of some things I like. Somebody tried to say that he was Will Levis with a little bit more ability. So I'm not going to do him like that yet. But I do like Erlich Ayominer, the receiver, I think a 3rd-round pick from Stanford. Oh, no, South Carolina. I think he was at both places. Regardless, the guy's a stud. He's going to be really good. And I think they're a nice little 1-2 combo that can build together. I got the Titans at 29. At 28, the Chicago Bears. Bad week for the Chicago Bears, ladies and gentlemen. Bad 2 weeks, to be honest with you. You had the lead in game 1, looking pretty good. Then you give the game away in the 4th. Just said, Minnesota, if you want, it's all yours. At home, by the way, on Monday Night Football, primetime. Next week, they play a team that's really upset that they lost to the Green Bay Packers in week 1, and that's the Detroit Lions. And a lot of people say, is this the Detroit team that we know and love? And now all of a sudden, Detroit had to prove that, hey, we're still Detroit. And that's what they did. They punched Chicago in the mouth, 52-21, and it was not pretty. Jared Goff was going off. Jared Goff said, I got something for you all. And that's what he did. He just went out there and did his thing. So sorry for the Bears. They're number 28. And on paper, they look good coming in the season. I don't know. I really just don't know. At 27, the Miami Dolphins. Now, Miami's playing the way I thought they would. I hate that that's the case, but they are. They're playing the way that I thought they would play. I had them going 5-12 in the season. 0-2 so far. Rough week against the Colts in week 1. Probably should have won in week 2, but the Patriots did what they needed to do. So shout out to the Patriots. And the Dolphins just looked rough. And I don't think it's going to get any better tonight. So they could be 0-3, and Mike McDaniel might not be head coach next week. And that's a hot take, maybe not so hot take, whatever. But it's a real possibility. At 26, the New York Football Giants. I really thought they might not be in the bottom this week. I thought they were going to win that game against the Cowboys, and they haven't beat the Cowboys in the last 14 tries, which is crazy work. that's quite a long time. What is that? At least 8 years. It's been a while, and this was their best chance. And the way that Russell Wilson and Malik Neighbors were playing in this game, just amazing. Russell had 3 touchdowns and a pick. That pick coming at the worst time towards the end of the game in overtime, which led to the Brandon Aubrey field goal to win it all. Him and Malik Neighbors had a couple of special connection plays throughout this game, especially that one with 25 seconds left in the fourth. So I just knew they were on their way, but unfortunately the defense didn't hold it up, and the Cowboys were able to get the 40-37 win. At 25, the New York Football Jets. Look, the Jets, that was rough. They went up against a Bills team that needed to prove themselves a little bit more after that Ravens game. Even though they won, I think they wanted to show, hey, we're still the Buffalo Bills. That's what they did against the Jets. For the Jets, I hate the fact that they lose Justin Fields. They really, I think Tyrod Taylor will be very serviceable this week. He's always proven that he can come in and have solid quarterback play. Problem is, I don't want Justin Fields' development to kind of take a step back, with him being down with the injury. He had a concussion. So the Jets hopefully can get him back soon, because I really like what I've seen from him so far. Even though they're 0-2, I have liked what I've seen for him on a personal level. At 24, the Houston Texans. Now, Houston is, how can I put this? They're better. They're a good team, and they had a really rough start to the season because they had the Rams in week 1 that was 14-9. Then they play a Tampa Bay team, both playoff teams, by the way, and they lose 20-19. So it's not like they're losing in miserable ways. They've had some tough teams to start the season off. So they got Jacksonville this week, and this is critical for both of those teams. I really want to see how that kind of ends up, because I think both of those teams can't afford to lose that game. It's early in the season, but it's just, division opponent. Feel like they just can't afford to lose it. They're at 24. At 23, the Kansas City Chiefs. The Kansas City Chiefs have never been at the bottom, ladies and gentlemen. Never. They have always been in the top 10, maybe in the outside looking in. I think last year or the year that they lost to the Lions in that first game of the season, that was the year that I remember them being at the bottom. Or being in the outside looking. They've never been in the bottom. They've never been. This is the first time. So they got the Giants this week, so they got a chance to bounce back. The Giants have to find a way to not start 0-3. Both teams do. So it'll be fun. At 22, their actual 1-1. So sorry about the error there. Are the Vegas Raiders. They're at 22. Are they better than the Chiefs? No. But I do it by record to start the season. They're 1-1. We got them at 20. Got them at 22. I didn't like the way they played against the Chargers. It was rough. It looked bad. It wasn't cute. They didn't really look that good against the Patriots, but they did what they needed to do. We got the Raiders at 22. At 21, the Atlanta Falcons. Now, the Falcons, in my opinion, could be higher on this list. I didn't like what I saw offensively from them in the second week. And so they've got to kind of figure that out. And yes, they did win the game, but it still was just kind of ugly. But I think the Falcons will kind of get it together. They've got themselves I don't want to say a cupcake game, but they've got a division opponent this week in the Panthers, who will compete with them, but they got a chance to kind of get things on the right foot. So here it is, the bottom: Saints, Browns, Panthers, Titans, Bears, Dolphins, Giants, Jets, Titans. Excuse me, not Titans. Texans. I always get the Texans and Titans jacked up. Texans, Chiefs, Raiders, and the Atlanta Falcons. There it is, the bottom. There's a couple teams in that bottom, ladies and gentlemen, that I feel like, won't be in the bottom long. Chiefs, I think the Texans won't be in the bottom long. There's a couple teams that, maybe the Falcons, I don't think they'll be in the bottom long. So they've got some chances there. There are teams that are 0-2 that I think, you never know. I think the Jets are one of those 0-2 teams that you never know if they can kind of figure it out, but we'll see. Now, let's head to the outside looking in. Sitting at number 20 in the outside looking in, the New England Patriots. Patriots getting a 33-27 victory over the Dolphins. A nice divisional win for this Patriots team. I like what I've seen. Drake May had himself a really nice day. He had 3 total touchdowns in the game. He threw for 230, 19 for 23, very efficient with the football. I like what I saw. Antonio Gibson had a big return on special teams for a touchdown. They didn't look bad. Week 1 was a little rough against the Raiders, but it felt like they figured it out this past week against the Dolphins. We got them at 20. At 19, the Denver Broncos. The Broncos probably should be in the top 10, but they gave away a game against the Colts where you can't lose those games, especially for a young team that is looking to make that next step. Made the playoffs last year. You got to be these are the type of games that can come back to hunt you. So you got to be careful if you're the Broncos. I still like them as an overall team. Troy Franklin is starting to become a nice little piece there in Denver. They've got a nice little young receiving core with Franklin, Mims Jr., and then, of course, Sutton. I like that for Bo Nix and the crew. They'll be all right. We got the Broncos at 19. At 18, the Minnesota Vikings. Tough loss to the Falcons on Monday Night Football. It didn't look good. You lose Aaron Jones, who's out for the next 4 games with hamstring issues. Then you also lose J.J. McCarthy, your starting QB. He won't be playing this week. That means it'll be the Carson Wentz show in Minnesota this weekend. So we got them at 18. At 17, the Washington Commanders. Talking about a team that is nicked up, banged up, it's the Washington Commanders. You lose Dietrich Wise, who you brought in the offseason, gone for the season. You lose Jonathan Jones for 4 weeks. He's on the IR. He'll be gone for 4 weeks. You lose Austin Eckler, who's technically your RB1. He's gone for the season. John Bates was nicked up. Jaden Daniels, the most important name of all, nicked up. May not play this week against the Raiders. He may not play against Atlanta. And if it was me, I wouldn't play him or wouldn't even think about playing him until they play the Chargers in week 5 in LA. That's just how I feel. Get him time to rest up. These are 2 games that I feel like Marcus Mariota can help them win. Marcus Mariota is no slouch. He won both games last year where he came in relief or came in and had to start. The one in Dallas at the end of the season. And then he also beat the Carolina Panthers. So Marcus can handle this stuff. We'll see. But I got the Commanders at 17. A lot of unanswered questions. They did sign Preston Smith back yesterday. So I like what they got going on there. At least with Preston Smith coming back. There's still a lot of mystery with the Washington Commanders. At 16, they lost 31-17 to the Seahawks, which is a game I did not have. I did not have Seattle winning that game. I thought it could be a big game for Metcalf. He did score a touchdown, it's the whole team. But Seattle came in there and did what they needed to do. Donald almost threw for 300 yards. He had 2 picks, but he had 2 touchdowns, 22 for 33. Kenneth Walker the third carries for 105 yards in a TD. Jackson Smith in the Jigba, 8 receptions for 103 yards. Overall, I like what I saw. Aaron had a rough day, 2 picks and a touchdown, 18 for 33. Looked a little bit different than he did in that Jets game last week, but I still thought Pittsburgh had a chance, and they let Seattle really go to work in the fourth quarter, scoring the 17 points. Pittsburgh went into the quarter not looking too bad. It was 14-14, and then it was they outscored them 17-3 in the fourth. What do you do about that? So Pittsburgh's at 16, Seattle's at 15. At 14, we've got the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, Jacksonville made me upset. I was not thrilled with Jacksonville on Saturday. Had a chance to win. I picked them to win, and they let that game fall by the wayside. A bogus call on Travis Hunter on that pass interference. Bogus call by the referees. They did Travis Hunter dirty. Brian Thomas, you got to catch the football. Diamond Brown had a really solid day. Tootin, the rookie running back from Virginia Tech, solid day. Didn't like to see Cohen and Travis Lawrence kind of getting into it a little bit. Got to be careful. The cameras are everywhere, ladies and gentlemen. And I know it's rough because you're out there in the heat of the battle. So just got to watch out, Jacksonville. I still think you can make the playoffs this year. I had you going in as a 7 seed. At 13, the Dallas Cowboys. So we talked about their matchup against the Giants and what they were able to do. Dak Prescott was impressive. I thought that CeeDee Lamb had a great day. Javonte Williams is starting off his season great with 3 touchdowns so far. I'm not going to count the Dallas Cowboys out. I still think they're going to be very competitive, and they're going to give teams problems. It's that simple. They're going to give teams problems. At 12, I got the Detroit Lions. Bounce back week after beating the Bears 52-21. That's the Lions team that we saw last year. That's the Lions team that's scary. That's the Lions team you got to watch out for. At 11, we talked about this Ravens team and their 41-17 victory over the Browns. Like I said with the Lions, that's the team that I know. That's the team that's dangerous. That's the team that, in my opinion, is probably the best overall franchise in the league, from top to bottom, from owner all the way down. PR, training, you name it. They're just a good organization. They're at 11. They're sitting on the outside looking in this week, but strong chance if they can beat number 12 team on Monday Night Football next week or this week, we could see some definite changes, because this is a big win for whatever team that can get this win. So here it is, the outside looking in. Patriots, Broncos, Vikings, Commanders, Steelers, Seahawks, Jaguars, Cowboys, Lions, and the Baltimore Ravens sitting at the top of the outside looking in. Outside looking in have a lot of interesting teams in there. Of course, the Broncos are an interesting team. I think the Patriots could be a team that surprised people this year. We talked about it, in episode 179 and week 1. Seattle's intriguing. Surprised me from week 1. Look, a rough start against the 49ers, but then they come in and do what they do against Pittsburgh. The Vikings are nicked up, so that's funny. The Commanders are the Commanders, and we still got to figure out where they are with Daniels being hurt and all these injuries. That's interesting. Cowboys, a little interesting. It's just the outside looking is always that tweener, always that interesting group of teams to see where they kind of will go. And of course, teetering from the bottom in the top 10. Speaking of the top 10, let's get to the top 10 right now. Top 10. At number 10, the San Francisco 49ers. Snuck a win last week against Seattle. They beat the Saints. Not maybe the most impressive teams, but you win. They lose Brock Purdy for a couple of weeks. This team cannot stay away from the injury bug. They just can't. I don't know what it is. They just can't stay away from it. They need to get that evaluated. It's the craziest thing. But they are 2-0. And they're the 49ers fans saying, see, Darrell, when you count us out, which I did at the beginning of the season, I had them going 7-10. They proved me wrong. And so shout out to the 49ers. They're at number 10. At number 9, the team they play this week, the Arizona Cardinals. Arizona, week 1, beat the Saints, same like the 49ers. Just, they barely squeaked through. A team that I have at number 32. And then they barely squeak or hold on to a win against the Panthers. So 2 wins, yes, 2-0, but against 2 teams that are in the bottom and that are maybe not the best team. So Arizona could easily be in the bottom themselves, but they're in the top 10 for now, with their 2-0 record. At number 8, the Cincinnati Bengals, 2-0 for the first time in a while. Problem is, Joe Burrow's gone for 3 months. So now you got to figure out what you're going to do with Joe Burrow being gone for 3 months. You can't afford Joe Burrow to be gone for 3 months. It's that plain and simple. But I will say Jake Browning has been a very good backup quarterback. He almost got him into the playoffs a couple years ago, so I don't want to put too much, not saying that he can't do it, but you'd rather have Joe Burrow. You're paying him a lot of money. You want the man on the field. But shout out to the Bengals. We'll see what they can do. If they can keep things rocking and rolling, they're 2-0. At number 7, now this team, I thought they were going to be in the bottom all year. But boy, have they proved me wrong in the first 2 weeks. The Indianapolis Colts. Week 1, impressive victory over the Dolphins. 33-8, beat them up. It was rough. Week 2, nail biter against the Broncos. They got that fan base feeling on top of the world. And most importantly, Daniel Jones looks really good. This team has not punted in the first 2 games of the season, which has never happened in NFL modern day history. They haven't punted. And Daniel Jones looks great. The Indianapolis Colts, ladies and gentlemen, at number 7 on the power rankings. At number 6, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tampa is tough. They're rugged. We're out there starting left tackle right now, Tristan Wirth. But the gutty win that they pulled off on Monday night against the Texans tells me everything I need to know about this team and what they can do. They're a team that I feel like can make the NFC Championship game. They're going to be a team that gives people problems. And, some weeks it may not look at its best, but when they're on, they're going to be a problem. So just watch out for Tampa Bay. At number 5, the Rams. First week, tough matchup against the Texans. I keep saying the Titans. Tough matchup against the Texans. They win 14-9. They had a matchup with the Titans this past week, fought hard with them. And you know what? They won, and they did what they needed to do. They win 33-19, but the Titans gave them everything they could handle. But I like this team, and they've got a big matchup this week against the number 1 team in our power rankings, the Eagles. So that'll be a fun one this weekend. Number 4, the LA Chargers, aka the San Diego Chargers. Hey man, Chargers are 2-0. Maybe not the prettiest against the Raiders, but you're 2-0. That's the most important thing of it all. And then you head into a week 3 matchup against the Broncos, a Broncos team that's going to be looking to bounce back. But this is a very important matchup in the AFC West. Very important matchup. And this could give the Chargers a nice little lead in the division early. At number 3, the Green Bay Packers. The Green Bay Packers are coming into this week against the Browns, really rested after that, nice victory against the Commanders, which I want to sit down here and say this before I keep going too far. Shout out to Bowie TV. Thank you, Bowie TV, for everything that you've done for me in my media career. Shout out to all of the producers, everything. I got to live a dream last Thursday as a Packer enthusiast, to be at Lambeau, which is my second time going, but to be at Lambeau and to be able to be amongst that crowd and that energy, that's something that I'll always remember. So I want to give a special shout out to Bowie TV for that, and I do the best I can to try to bring and capture some of the great moments. And it was an amazing experience. That's all I can give it. It was an amazing experience. But Packers winning that game 27-18. I thought at times you saw a Jordan Love that looks confident and ready to take that next step. Then he missed on a couple of plays to his receivers, but man, if he could have connected on those plays, this game may have been way worse. Could have been a worse situation. The defense looks top notch. Michael Parsons and the crew, they look top notch. I like what I see. That's all I'm gonna say. At number 2, the Buffalo Bills. Bills winning against the Jets 30-10. They look like the Buffalo Bills team that you got to watch out for. They're going to be a problem. When they get going, they're going to be a problem. And at number 1, the Philadelphia Eagles. Eagles win a tough physical game against the AFC champion, Kansas City Chiefs, sending them to 0-2, but sending them to 2-0 and making them the number 1 team in our power rankings for the 3rd straight week. And congratulations to the Eagles, because they have now taken the overall lead as most number 1 rankings all time. They are 18 number 1 rankings all time compared to the Chiefs 17. So shout out to the Eagles, and look who they beat to take that number 1 spot in our power rankings all time. So here it is, top 10. 49ers, not a name I thought I would hear. Cardinals, Bengals, Colts, another name I didn't think I was going to hear. Bucks, Rams, Chargers, Packers, Bills, and number 1 for the 3rd straight week, the Philadelphia Eagles. Well, ladies and gentlemen, there it is, your power ranking. And now we finish this thing the right way. Let's finish it with the finale. First things first in the finale are Kings of the Gridiron for week number 2. Now, I want to say 2 things. I really wanted to give this to Russell Wilson. I did. And if they had won that game, he would have got it for me. They screwed the pooch on that thing, but I would have definitely gave it to him if they had won that game. That 450 yards passing, amazing. But got to give it to the man that cooked the Chicago Bears, 23 for 28, 334 yards, 5 touchdowns, a QBR, aka quarterback rating of 156 in that 52-21 victory over the Chicago Bears. Jared Goff now has moved himself into, well, he's already in second place, but he's moved himself up a notch. He's right behind Lamar Jackson for number 2 in our all-time King of the Gridirons. Lamar Jackson has 5 of our Gridiron Awards, and now Jared Goff has 4. What a bounce-back week for the Detroit Lion quarterback. And a guy who has grabbed his second all-time on the defensive side, Roquan Smith, 15 tackles. He scored a touchdown, and he had a fumble recovery in the 41-17 victory over Cleveland. So there they are, ladies and gentlemen, our Kings of the Gridiron for week 2, Jared Goff and Roquan Smith. Now, swinging over to our MVP candidates. Now, look who's at number 5, ladies and gentlemen, Daniel Jones. Look, you got to give love to Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones is right now currently second in the league in passing yards, right behind Russell Wilson. He is playing great football. Daniel Jones is lights out so far, and he's been great. Now, the touchdowns may not be where you want him to be, but that's because he's had Jonathan Taylor do his doggone thing at the running back position and help pushing Daniel Jones along. But right now, he's 45 for 63 on the season, 588 yards with 2 touchdowns, and overall quarterback rating of 111.1. Shout out to Daniel Jones. Watch out for Daniel Jones. You got him at number 5. At number 4, Justin Herbert. Herbert has had a nice start to the season. They're 2-0. They're not in bad shape. They got a chance, if they can do things the right way, they can win this AFC West, I think. Having Keenan Allen back has been everything, and you can tell, and it's opening up things for the other receivers on this team. So shout out to Justin Herbert. He's at number 4. At number 3, Baker Mayfield. And I could have Baker a little bit lower on this, but Baker is just tough, man. And watching Baker play is like you watch this renegade just out on the field doing his thing. If I had to give you a comparison, he reminds me of a combination of Brett Favre and Doug Flutie. Just and it's just like he'll sling it. He's tough. He can move on his feet, do a bit of everything. So I got Baker at number 3. At number 2, Lamar Jackson, who's having a really good year so far. He's cooking to get things started. Tough week 1, but he put up numbers in both games, and he should have won it last year, but we'll see if he can do something this year, or let's see if he can win it this year, or they'll give it to him this year. Maybe I should put it that way. And at number 1, Josh Allen. Hey, big win against the Ravens in week 1, and then they decimated the Jets in week 2. So those are MVP candidates heading into week 3. Now let's look at your boy record. Okay, 23-9. Went 11-5 last week. Went a beautiful 12-4 this week. So your boy's cooking right now to get things started in the season. I'm feeling pretty good. Let's see if we can add on to that. I'm trying not to leave out the double digits in losses, man. I'm trying to go. I want to be 39-9 at the end of this week, but I don't think that's going to be the case. Now let's swing to tonight's game. In tonight's game, I've got the Buffalo Bills winning 34-24 over the Dolphins, and probably sending the Dolphins into a tailspin. Tailspin, oh yeah, tailspin, oh we oh, tailspin. No, I don't want to jack up the lyrics too bad, but that's my jam though. Nothing beat that full effect of Disney cartoons back in the day. Tailspin, Darkwing Duck. You got Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers, and then of course DuckTales. Ooh. So shout out to them. But I got Buffalo winning tonight 34-24. Here are my winners for the rest of the weekend. I got the Bills, Commanders, Packers, Vikings, Patriots, Colts, Texans, Falcons, Rams, Bucks, Chargers, Seahawks, Cardinals, Cowboys, Chiefs, and last but not least, the Baltimore Ravens. All right, everybody, that's it. Episode 181 of 101 in the books. I'd like to thank you all for joining me for another episode. We'll be back next week for episode 182 to break down week 3 and kind of give you insight heading into week 4. So we're very excited about that. And once again, everybody, I just want to thank everybody for joining in, tuning in. I hope you value my opinion. I always try to have fun with this It's my fun. It's one of my funnest things to do, and I really put a lot of effort into trying to give you my breakdown. I'm not saying I'm the best at power rankings, but this is just kind of how I see things at the current time. With that being said, thank you all for tuning in. Make sure you guys check out all the great shows on the amazing Legacy Maker Sports Network. Check out Bowie TV. Check out all of those great platforms that we have going on both ends. Truly appreciate you all. Until next time, you enjoy football tonight. Enjoy football for the weekend. Go to a high school game. Check out some college football. I'm gonna be doing all three. I got high school tomorrow. I got high school tomorrow with the Raiders taking on, with Powhatan. I got Powhatan tomorrow. I'll head out there for Blessed Sacrament High School. And then on Saturday, I got UVA versus Stanford and Charlottesville. And then on Sunday, Commanders and Raiders. So you guys go enjoy some football this weekend. I know I am. Until next time, thank you all for tuning in. This has been One-on-One, episode 181.
Welcome to the one-on-one. When it comes to ratings, man, we number one. I get the truth, then I give them the scoop. If anybody got a question, I give them the proof.